Over 5,000 artifacts have been raised from the wreck of Titanic. Delicate papers found in leather bags, windows and portholes, jewelry and coins, passengers' glasses and outfits, all sorts of different items, each of which tells a different story. Many have expressed dismay and outrage over the salvage, calling it grave robbing, while others express the needs of preservation for history. But this isn't a video looking at the two sides of that debate. I want to talk about 5 objects, 5 artifacts still at the bottom of the sea, 2.5 miles down around the wreck of Titanic, that I think should be raised for the populace of the world to see. But first, if you are wondering why this video is on our Titanic Honor and Glory gaming channel, let me tell you. As we continue to work on recreating Titanic for the game, we have teamed up with a number of talented researchers, and our other goal, along with building a complete digital Titanic ship, is to understand everything possible about her, from the people aboard to how the ship sank, with the end goal being able to utilize that knowledge in the final Titanic game. But we want to share our research and knowledge as we keep working, hence these videos we've titled Titanic University. If you enjoy learning about Titanic, please do all the YouTube things, like, share, and subscribe, and also consider checking out our Patreon to support Titanic Honor and Glory as we keep making Titanic content. You can join our Discord, get free digital and physical perks, and lots more as we work together to bring Titanic back to life. Now back to the lesson. Number 5. Diana of Versailles statuette. This artifact is obvious, and it should go without saying that it needs to be recovered. It took a very long time to rediscover after being found initially back in 1985 by Robert Ballard and his team, and it seemingly vanished afterwards. Rumors spread that during the 1990s secret Titanic dive missions, someone grabbed Diana, grand staircase wrought iron balustrades, and other artifacts for their own collection. But as it turns out, all that was a bunch of baloney. Luckily, this past summer, THG researchers Peter Harwell and Nico Margira preparing to help out with RMST for their upcoming expedition, when the statuette was spotted again. Even then, pinpointing its location was such a challenge that James Penka and the RMST expedition crew nearly missed it, finding her on almost the last day of the expedition. Besides having quite the story around her, her beauty cannot be ignored. Surrounded by the usual devastation that is at the wreck site, rust, decay, she is a piece of art that does not belong down there. Furthermore, she is facing upward, towards the surface, almost as if she is looking and reaching skyward for rescue. Number 4. Titanic's remaining rockets. Rockets with the Titanic disaster are infamous. They were sent up in hopes of attracting the mystery ship seen on the horizon, which turned out to be Californian, who also saw the rockets, but for many reasons did not arrive to help. Whether or not they would have gotten to Titanic in time to have actually saved any other people is a topic for another tale. But the box of signal rockets, with several missing, was spotted in the debris field of Titanic, open, presumably washed off the starboard deck as the ship went under. This is a remarkable piece of history that also needs to be recovered. I've read online that many argue the rockets were pure white, and that the tips of the rockets, seen here, which indicate what color they should have been modified in Photoshop to have the colors present, so that the argument that the rockets were actually colored, something survivors stated, that the rockets ended with sparkling trails of different colors. Well, this image is not photoshopped, I can guarantee that. Raising the artifact too can possibly resolve any arguments. Number 3. A Titanic boiler. I didn't say in the beginning that this list was going to be practical, but realistically, if something large was ever to be recovered again, it wouldn't be something still attached to the ship like a propeller or an anchor. Raising a boiler, which from the get-go seems almost impossible, was the dream of the late Mr. Titanic himself, Paul-Henri Najolet. He seems to have told nearly everyone his desire. I recall the last time I saw him, and we were discussing Titanic together, as one does, and he painted a picture of gas bags and recovery ships. But again, besides logistics, I can't fathom the cost of preservation of all that steel. The boilers in question, the ones from Boiler Room 1, are still massive even if they were the smaller ones, are famous. The first identical pieces of Titanic seen in 73 years were these boilers. Wherever the raised ones would end up, as they wouldn't be practical to be touring, would be as famous as the big piece. Number 2. Letters. You might not even know this one exists. A delicate display of the level of detail aboard Titanic and the destruction she went through. These small brass letters pinned to a sliver of wood were once nailed to a cabinet for passengers to send away to their friends letters and correspondence ashore. We know of 2 of these aboard Titanic that this once could have come from, either the first class lounge, or outside the second-class library on C deck. Considering so much was ejected from the bow on the descent, it seems more plausible that it was once attached to the one in the lounge. This tiny, almost feather-light piece slowly floated down and landed next to, of all places, the prow of the ship. The dichotomy here is intense. This gentle, small little artifact and the massive wall of steel that makes up the great mighty ship. Number 1. A passenger's music. Some of the most emotional and controversial artifacts have been those connected directly to Titanic's passengers and crew. From what I've read online, it seems there is a misunderstanding on how these artifacts are actually raised and found. They aren't found on the bottom of the ocean next to a victim's body, nor are any ROVs going inside Titanic to a passenger's cabin and snooping around dressers and wardrobes. When Titanic broke apart, thousands upon thousands of objects fell out of the ship, including bags, trunks, and luggage. If a passenger had a bag they didn't want, it was slapped with the Not Wanted label and placed in the baggage hold. But if they wanted it, with a Wanted label on, it was eventually brought to their stateroom. Many of these wanted trunks, or smaller personal bags, found their way out of the stern rooms and into the debris field. Since discovery and recovery, their contents have given us insight and a deep connection to life aboard Titanic, and even the hopes and dreams of her passengers. But there are so many more amazing bags down there, including one open trunk lying on the seafloor with remarkable contents scattered for us to see, but not for us to hear. What we can see in this suitcase: a pair of shoes, presumably from a lady, a pair of books, or maybe journals, the lid of a large jar, and most incredibly, music or audio discs, almost like phonograph records, in remarkable condition stacked together. This is when we can start to daydream. With today's technology and what scientists have already done with the Dead Sea Scrolls and with other Titanic artifacts, imagine microscanning these discs, replicating the etchings, and then duplicating them, not so we can match and play a similar song, but play the song, the exact song that has been underwater for over 100 years and lost on Titanic. It could even be voice recordings of that passenger. Just to hear something from the time of Titanic that was down there for so long would be such a haunting, incredible, and fantastic opportunity for history that we should not and cannot pass it up. But of course, this is just my opinion, a lowly Titanic researcher who would like to see these 5 artifacts in person one day. These objects and many others should be saved for the sake of research, history, and preservation. I believe the historical significance of them is too great to let them sit forever at the bottom of the sea, being slowly destroyed by time and the elements. But please feel free to give your opinions in the comments of which Titanic artifacts you would like to see raised, or you have seen in person that have emotionally affected you.